I got kicked out of it. So who do you like for the cards then? Are you collecting a player or an artist or a bit of both?
I'm a spectator, an observer. I don't collect any of them. I've loved like just consuming the artwork and looking at that and really being inspired by it.
Okay. Is there any artist that's kind of you're drawing yourself to? Because I've got about 6 that I think are just blowing me away with what they're doing.
I think early on, though it's not the style that I lean towards as an artist, but early on Blake was someone that he was the first one I kind of latched onto and just have not only enjoyed his art, but just kind of watching, his presentation and how he puts his stuff out there, how he makes it a thing, and not just like, here's my baseball card art, but here's my YouTube chat. He's built a whole like mythos around himself, and I think that's really smart and really attractive as another artist to kind of watch him do it so well.
Mm-hmm. Have you been on the show yet?
What's that? Oh no, not the show. Every 10:23, I'm looking at for my invitation.
All right, well, we'll tell Blake that you desperately want to come on. So you want to desperately, but you want to come on there. So since he's part of the group, you just reach out to him. And go, hey, look, I'm part of the group. I'm on.
One of these days.
You'd be surprised. Like I said, literally, he's been super accommodating for us. I mean, I didn't think he actually had the time of day to talk to us. We're just 2 dudes in Scotland, and he gave us an hour at a time. And it was nice about the chat. He's retweeted stuff for us like that there. So seems like a really nice guy. He's really engaged with everything. So yeah, definitely just reach out, and you never know what happens.
Yeah.
I mean, eventually he's gonna run out of people to interview. You're doing five a night.
Yeah. Daniel, Blake's quite a generous guy with both his time and promotion. Mm-hmm. He spent quite a bit of our interview kind of talking about that when we were speaking to him, like he sees promoting other people as like a mutually beneficial thing that he uses as part of his kind of marketing. So he's very open to that, and like I just think it's a really great way that he works. He has like an attitude, a mentality of lifting everyone up, lifts him up from it. And it's a great way to operate. He's not a guy who like has no time for kind of small fries, if you want to call it that. You know what I mean? Like he always tries to elevate the people.
Small fries? I think we're about 1 fry. We're not even small fry.
yeah. We are the burnt black tiny bits at the bottom of the fries that no one likes to eat. I'm just going to share this out. We're live now, guys. So if you guys want to just chat for a sec.
Yeah, no worries. So after we introduced ourselves, I'm going to nip out real quick and use the bathroom since we basically finished the interview and jumped into this one again. It's been interesting. Everyone's been always amazing to chat to, but we're really kind of bump up in time. Like we got to stop this interview.
Yeah.
So jump to the next one. So, but yeah, no, I think Sif's works really interesting. He does the cards. It's just. I think as people the first 50 cards, they kind of just, all right, well, we're going to do the card in my style. And then they really started reimagining it now. And I can enjoy that, just kind of go, okay, cool. You've really kind of taken it to the next level to see what's out there now. So.
Yeah, I think it's the same thing that I appreciate about like cover songs of famous songs, like, I'm not really interested in a note for note rendition of Killer Queen, like give me something new, that's your own spin on it. Like that's the stuff that I appreciate. That kind of elevates or augments what was already done before.
Yeah, I agree more. Yeah, so it's been interesting to see the comments in the group on whenever something's posted, because it's always like, this is the best card yet, or this is shit. And it's just like, it's art. It's like I said, everyone's got an opinion there, but it's always interesting that you use that back and forth and say, go, okay, cool, I like this card or not.
Yeah.
So, has there been one card that's you've liked out of the whole set so far? The one card you're like, I think that's the best one yet. I know there's a few. Like I said, we're at like 275 now, so it's like it's hard to pick one.
Yeah, I don't know if I could pick one, and plus I'm not I'm an observer, not a collector, so I don't have them like fresh in my mind. Like this is the one. I've just really loved like the whole idea behind this project from the beginning, and been just following along, lurking in the distance, watching it all.
Fair enough. So it's been interesting. I think most people we've talked to are following it, and some people are obviously buying cards here and there, and they're going, well, the budget only goes so far, so I can only either pick a player or pick an artist and take it from there.
Yeah. Now,
Well,
if Dale Murphy was part of it, I would buy every one.
I was going to ask about that. That's later in the show. I was definitely going to ask about Dale Murphy, but we can jump into Dale Murphy now. So how did you get Murph to sign your cards, and what did he say about signing the reverse negative backwards?
He's a good sport. I think I had gotten to know him the year before, and we got to work on some projects together. So it wasn't just a stranger approaching him at a card table saying, here, can you do this backwards? We'd gotten to know each other and become friends. And the part I love about collecting is collecting what is, offbeat or unusual. I love Dale Murphy Rocky on the Rockies stuff. Like that's my favorite stuff because there's just so little of it. And it's still years after his last at bat, it's still novel to see him in that Rockies uniform. So that I got that sign at the Dale Murphy MVP experience where you get to go and watch a game with Murph and eat food at his restaurant with him. And so I had it planned out. The night before, I was like, what am I going to have signed that's unique and that's weird, that's just off the beaten path. And then that negative popped into my mind, and totally not knowing if he was going to accommodate to it, because that's such a bizarre, difficult request. But I brought it with me. I got a picture of his signature and reversed it so that he would have a guide to look at to see what actually his signature looks like backwards. Because could you write your name backwards?
No, I was going to ask you about that, because I was like, because again, one, I didn't know, I knew you at least had worked with him before, because I saw your previous work with the light bat thing. That's awesome. And I was like, okay, so it's not like some dude just showed up going, hey dude, I got like your reverse negative, like, can you sign that backwards? So I was going to ask you about that, because I was like, how would you do that? Because yeah, it was not going to work. And the thing is, he did an amazing job with it as well.
He did a great job. And I actually have the scratch piece of paper. He was such a great guy and such a good sport. He had tried it out a couple times on a scratch piece of paper to see if he could do it. Right. And so, which I still have that paper. And then, so I have several reverse Dale Murphy autographs, but so he did it a couple of times to make sure that he could do it. And then he did a great job on the actual card itself.
Cool. So how did you get around to working with Dale Murphy? Because I grew up watching Dale Murphy on TBS. So, and then he's also an Oregon guy. So I have that Northwest connection with him. So, I can't tell you how many times I watched Dale Murphy play. Yeah,
he is a big champion for making Portland a baseball city. But grew up being a Dale Murphy fan from the time I was 7, 8, 9 years old. Just loved Dale Murphy and always collected his stuff, and that's lasted for years. And here we are, now I'm in my 40s and still collecting Dale Murphy stuff. And he hosts, like I mentioned, the Dale Murphy MVP experience, which is opportunity to spend some time with Murph, watch a game with him, eat at his restaurant. So that's how I got to know him, was through one of those events, and we had gotten to talking with him, and not only him, but his whole family, which is all equally as lovely and wonderful as he is, just super patient and gracious and kind. And so long story short, just got chatting with them, and his wife actually was the one that suggested it. She saw one of my art pieces of Dale, and she thought, that would make a great poster. And I didn't need much more of an invitation than that. I'm like, sure, let's do it. Let's do it right away. And that just kind of evolved into them being really open and great about making other stuff. Together we did that limited edition poster, enamel pin, a pennant, stickers, a playing card game, like the Dale Murphy Clubhouse card game. So just lots of really cool novel stuff, and game for all of it. And such a treat to work with him, and if only my little 10-year-old self had any clue what I'd be up to. It's been such a dream. And I was saying this the other day that it still is very exciting. It still hasn't worn off, and each time I get the opportunity to chat with him, I still have to rein in the fanboy and just show up as we're both adults here, right? But really inside, I'm a 10-year-old boy who's very excited to be talking to Dale Murphy.
Yeah, I mean, so we chatted to James. Oh gosh, what's Paulie's last name? Faustino?
Fiorentino.
And if are you aware of him? And he was talking about spending a day with Ted Williams talking baseball, and the top 20 hitters are there so they can create the card set. And when you say, like, how do you rate it in? It's like, when you work with Hall of Famers and he's done presidents and world leaders, it's like, how do you just be like, it's cool, man. Like, we're just gonna hang out and we'll just have a chat. I couldn't do it. I guess I don't have enough experience around those where I'm kind of like, I can keep it cool. I mean, when we were chatting to Anika and Blake, like I was nervous all day because I was like, these are people's work I actually really admire, and I did pretty good to not fanboy too much.
Right on, good job.
Yeah, so that must be tough. I mean, because if you're calling each other regularly and working on stuff, it must be like, okay, it's just Dale. All right, here we go.
Yeah, I look at my phone. I'm like, I've got Dale Murphy's cell phone number in my phone. That is just wild.
Just gonna call him after. Hey Murph, what's up? What are you doing? So where is he living these days? I'm assuming he's not back in Oregon.
Yeah, he's in Utah right now.
Right. Okay. All right. No, I figured he was either still in Atlanta or he was elsewhere, but I knew he was not back in Portland because I went to Oregon State, so I have Oregon connections there, and every time they talk about expansion, like everyone on Facebook blows up going, yeah, Portland, we're gonna have a baseball team, let's do it,
Oh, yeah.
And then of course now with Russell Wilson and willing to like buy half an airport so they can put it out that way, it looks like it could be happening, so that'd be cool.
That would be wonderful.
So we're about 20 minutes in. Let's start the show proper, shall we?
All right.
Hello, everyone. I'm back for our second of 3 interviews tonight. Apologies for missing the first one. The Hearts game was on earlier. We did win 1-0, fortunately, in the end. I was going to jump on with you guys, Jason, but you guys had already started, and I didn't want to interrupt the
John,
flow.
I'm dying here.
Sorry? I think Jason's having some problems. Yeah, he's having some problems. So I'll just introduce us, and he can.
I'm back.
Whenever he can.
Hey, I'll say hello. But I'll crash and then I'll go.
Right, let's introduce everyone quickly then, in case that happens again, so you can jump off for a pee since you're so desperate.
Thanks. Like telling everybody.
My name is John McKellar. I'm one half of Ball Caps and Bagpipes.
And I'm Jason Durr, former league president and Baseball Scotland Hall of Famer. I'm also the owner of Dugout Classics. And we're excited about the guests we have on tonight. John, why don't you introduce him?
Yep, we have Daniel Horine joining us. Daniel, would you like to say hello?
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Now, while Jason takes a bathroom break, we always like to start the interviews off with the same question. Why don't you start by telling us about your baseball background growing up? Do you follow a particular team? Did you play baseball growing up? And if so, to what level and what positions did you play? I know that we've already talked at the top of the broadcast, so to speak, about your love of Dale Murphy, so we can expand on that if you wish. But over to you, Daniel.
Well, grew up like a lot of kids playing Little League, and horrendously terrible at Little League. I enjoyed it tremendously, and I never did anything even into high school. I just loved playing Little League, and very, very quickly I realized my limitations and did not go farther than actually playing, but I still loved the game. And we were talking earlier about Dale Murphy, so obviously the Braves are a big part of that. So they are my team, the Atlanta Braves, and have been so through thick and thin, when they were great and not as great. But I will say though, the Dodgers are my like spiritual parents. They are the hometown heroes. That's what got me introduced to baseball, and that's the most games I've seen in my life have been Dodger games. So they will always have a place in my heart. The Braves are my mate of choice for life. I've chosen them, but the spiritual parents of my baseball love will always be the Dodgers.
Amazing. Now, on the Braves, I want to ask you, you guys had that formidable rotation in the mid-late 90s. You had Smoltz, you had Glav, and you had Maddox. Which of the three is your guy?
Well, probably Maddox of all those guys. And it's interesting too, right when the Braves got great is when I kind of just pieced out of baseball for a while. When Dale Murphy retired, so did I, and stepped away. So I missed a lot of the glory years of the Braves. Unfortunately for Murph, as soon as he left Atlanta, then the Braves, went on to the postseason. Then he joined the Phillies, and as soon as he left the Phillies, then the Phillies went on to postseason greatness. So when he was a Brave, I was a Braves fan, and the Braves weren't great. When he was a Philly, I was a Phillies fan then, and they weren't great. So never been a part of a winning team for a while, until recently when I kind of got back into baseball a while back, and have enjoyed how well the Braves have been doing.
Yeah, you must be excited about this Acuna Jr. kid. He's something else.
I love what they got going on. I love his vibe, his energy, what he's brought to the team, and Freddie Freeman making that transition to chiseled veteran. And you've got Acuna Jr. on the team, and Ozzy Albies. I love the energy of this team, and I just love watching them.
So I'm 32 at the moment. I didn't start watching baseball until I was 13, and but it's terrifying to me now seeing guys like Freddie Freeman, who I've basically seen like entire careers of baseball players now. It's like I'm really starting to feel like I'm an adult at this point.
Yeah.
It's quite scary, isn't it, when you first realise I've been watching since before he started, and he's about to finish his career. He's like Twilight. Yeah. Oh my God. Do you have any? Oh, sorry. Please.
Oh no, I was gonna say like I said, I kind of left baseball in like '93 and picked it up maybe around 2012, and a similar experience. These like Chipper Jones was like brand new rookie when I kind of left baseball, and then I come back and he's retiring. He's this filled out, chiseled veteran. And like that is not the guy that I left.
You mentioned Murph, and I think Murph is like the Atlanta Don Mattingly. Mattingly was the same. He left in 95, 96, the Yanks win the series and start that dynasty. You got to feel for players like that. My guy growing up was Mike Mussina, and obviously he won 20 games at the age of 40 in 2008 and retired right after it. And then, of course, what happens the next year? We win the World Series. Why don't you tell me about, are there any particular games or moments from watching games growing up that you have like stuck in your mind that are the ones that you say, this is why I love baseball?
There's one moment I had, this is a long story, so I'll try to make it as concise as possible. But
we've got an hour-long show. You're good to go.
All right. Well, so growing up, like I said, the Dodgers are my spiritual home. When my dad took me to lots of Dodger games, and I remember my first time him taking me to a Braves game, Braves versus Dodgers. It's my first time getting to see Dale Murphy. I'm so excited. I'm out of my mind excited. I've only seen him on TBS. So to get to see him in a game was so exciting. I brought a stack of cards this thick. I don't know if what I was expecting. Was he going to sit down during the game and sign all these cards for me? I don't know. But I brought every card I had in a Sharpie, and went to the game. And always my dad always took me there early so I could watch batting practice and try to get some autographs if I could. And I'm sitting at my seat on field level, and I look over by the right field side. There's Dale Murphy, number 3, signing autographs by the visitors' dugout. So I hustled to the other side of the stadium with my stack of cards. I was so excited. Not only was I going to see him play, but before the game, I was going to get to meet him, and he was going to sign a big stack of cards. So there's a swarm of kids kind of forming around him. So I kind of stand in that swarm and try to get close to him. And then finally, it's my turn my hand is out to hand a card and a Sharpie to him to sign. And he said, "Sorry, kids, got to go get ready for the game." And he didn't sign my card. And I was crestfallen. I was devastated. I wept. I just moped back to my seat and just wept. And I made my parents cry because I was so sad. So there's that. So let's smash cut to several years later. He moved from the Phillies, then to the Rockies, or to the Phillies, then to the Rockies. and my dad took me to a Rockies Dodgers game. So I did not forget how my last experience went. So I was a little jaded maybe, but still excited nonetheless. And went to the game early, and during batting practice by the left field pole, I happened to get a ball that was knocked into the stands. First time, last time that ever happened. And so, I was probably 12 or 13 at the time. So I ran back to my parents' seat. They were sitting on kind of behind home plate on field level. Ran back to my parents' seat. I'm like, look what I got, Mom and Dad. So as I'm telling them about this ball, and look over the right side field, there's number 3 signing autographs over there by the visitors' dugout. So I took my newly found ball and I hustled over there. Same thing, the swarm of kids around Murph, and I took my place in whatever kind of line it was, and my newly found ball, and I'm there, and it's my turn, and I give the ball to Murph, and he takes it and he signs it, and I float back to my seat. I don't even walk. I just float across the field and sit back into my seat, and what a happy game. So it was an insignificant game. Nothing really happened. I don't think Murph performed particularly well that game, but it was Murph playing nonetheless. And so the next day, I would always check the box scores of every game. So after the game that I was at, I checked the box score of the next game after that. Murph wasn't in the lineup. Second day, Murph wasn't in the lineup. Third, Murph wasn't in the lineup. And then the headline reads in the paper, Dale Murphy retires from baseball. So by random, lucky, stupid chance, I happened to go to his last at-bat ever, get a ball and have him sign it at his last game. And so that is nothing that you're going to read in Sports Illustrated or Beckett, but for me that is just such a treasure to have that moment. And I love telling that story, partially because of the roller coaster that it is, but I love a good redemption story, and especially just experiencing that as a kid. It was really it's been a really special memory for me.
Oh, it's a beautiful story with a great ending.
I got 2 questions about that. One, do you still have the ball?
I do. It's got pieces of Dodger Stadium still on it.
And 2, did you tell Murph the story?
I did tell Murph the story, and in front of a bunch of people, I told him, and he didn't know that it was going to turn out well. So I get to the part where and he left me standing there. He's like, well, thanks Daniel, thanks for the story. I wouldn't tell him if it didn't end well, but it ended so well. So I'm happy to tell that story.
Yeah, it's quite something. These athletes, when we were that age, like you would have been probably 8 or so when the first encounter, we kind of watch them on TV and we kind of fall in love with them in a way. It's like they become a massive part of it. Like the reason that we exist is to watch them in the weekend on TV at that age. So to get to meet him twice and have it not go so well, but then sort that out, and then they just the happenstance of that being his final game. That's an incredible story.
Yeah, it's really fun. And little footnote: Murph's first at bat ever was at Dodger Stadium, and his last at bat ever was also at Dodger Stadium.
Special place then. Stars align for you guys. Amazing stuff. Jason, do you want to take over?
Sure, I'll ask you about your art. So we'll talk about your comic book style baseball players, but I want to know, because I did a deep dive in your Instagram. Tell me about the kingdom of MLB, the realms of NFL and the gods of NBA. So how did that come about? Because those are really cool. John has no idea what we're talking about, but where did that process come from?
Now don't forget the very famous Oracles of Axfell. It was the XFL, the 8 XFL team.
Well, but I stuck with like the big ones there, and then I can see those too.
That was a project I kind of took on a whim. The whole thought was reimagining it started off with reimagining all the Major League Baseball teams as He-Man, Masters of the Universe type characters. So the very warriors and wizards and beasts and whatnot. And so and the premise, at least in my mind, is, you know, what if the baseball that we know and love today, like what if all the colors and the logos, the pageantry and the team names, what if they weren't like somewhat of a modern invention? What if they actually are a descendant from this like ancient kingdom, the kingdoms of MLB? So that's kind of where the idea came about, was just this reimagining of the whole history of baseball and making it a lot older and a lot cooler than it really is.
I mean, it was cool. I sat there and I was looking at these and like, I'm going to spend all day here and not be able to do any research, because it was really well done. And the fact you went across the league all there, how long would it take you to come up with, say, one team? I mean, was it an easy process there? Because I'm not a creative person. So when somebody looked at that, it's like, man, you would have had to come up with the concept of the team and then design the color scheme and then figure out the He-Man character that's going to go with it.
Well, for me, I think that particular project that I did, it was a real turning point, I think, for me as an artist, because up to that point, I really, what I put out there was kind of carefully curated, and I put my best work out there, the best that I can do. And if it wasn't what I felt was my best work, I didn't put it out. No one ever saw it. Or if it wasn't my best work, I just didn't finish it. So I realized there was so much left in the tank, so many ideas that never got out because I was so occupied with having it go well, look well. And so so that project was kind of an experiment, really, or a tool, actually, even more accurately, that I used to challenge myself. I did all those MLB things in a month, 30 teams in 30 days. And I abandoned the idea that, you know, it had to be, I abandoned the idea that it had to be the best idea. It just had to be an idea, a finished idea. So usually the first idea went, and that's what ended up on the team. I mean, on the team, on the team, sure. And that's what ended up in front of everyone. You know, I did about more or less one of these a day for a month, and just got through that exercise of ego to let that go. And if it didn't turn out well, that's okay. There's another one tomorrow, and focus on, this is not really probably a popular thing to say as an artist, but focus on quantity over quality, because I think in the end, the quantity becomes the quality, because it looks very interesting to see all this stuff, this whole world being built, because I was able to do it and land the plane quickly. And looking at it as a whole, you know, it's this complete idea, and it's, I hope, interesting and fun, and that the fact that it's finished and done is the quality, and it's as big and large as it is. Between the very famous XFL, NFL, NBA, and MLB, you know, there was 100 different drawings that I ended up doing, and there is absolutely no way I would have been anywhere near that prolific if I still had those kind of ego guards up, that it had to be a very curated version of myself out there. And so that really changed the game for me in terms of just kind of where I took my art after that.
So would you ever see yourself revisiting that and say, are we going to see a Castle Grayskull Dodger Stadium mashup?
Oh, I would love to. There's actually, I still love that project. It didn't get a ton of traction because I think actually the illustrations are not the best vehicle for it. Actually having little figures, actual He-Man figures would be a great vehicle. And I've had 3 prototype figures made. Right. And I made those little, I don't know if you remember those little muscle characters from the 80s.
I saw the Muscle Man as well. So I've got my notes here. I was asking about those. Yeah.
So I feel like that's the best vehicle for those things, because that's the nostalgia. People don't get nostalgic over illustrations of He-Man characters. They get nostalgic over the actual seeing those little 5.5-inch squatty, muscular, wide characters. And so, but that's a really expensive endeavor to get into, is make 30 different toys. So I took that for about as long as I could, took it as far as I could. And if one day I have unexplained disposable income, I would love to make all those toys and do the project justice.
or just maybe reach out to the Masters of the Universe and go, look, I got my project here. You guys have the prototypes. Let's work something out here, right?
That was my hope, and it still is my hope. There's a company called Super 7. They're a toy company, and,
Yeah.
and they do the toys that you always wanted as a kid, and they didn't even make kind of the obscure offbeat stuff. And they've had, I think they currently have MLB licenses and stuff. I don't even know if you need one for these because there's no names or no logos. But I would love to work with Super 7 to get those off the ground.
Yeah, I can't remember where I've come across them before, but I think they produced something, and I was like, that's really awesome. Why did I never see that as a kid? And I'm pretty sure I follow them on Instagram as well. So that would be awesome. We'll have to, like, get the whole group to throw some attention their way and go, come on now, let's get this off the ground.
Please, I love that project. It was so much fun.
Throw them an at bomb on Twitter. Just everyone at them.
Yeah, we'll be all right there. So that, and then you went into what I'm seeing now again on Project 20, because we touched on that there. You started coming up with the comic book style with a lot of players from our shared era of the 80s and 90s there. So how did that come about? Did you just have a brainstorm one day, or just go, you know what, I'm going to try to do Will the Thrill, but I want to do it comic book style?
Well, I had done comic book style a little bit. If like with Murph, one of the first things I did with Murph, actually the first collaboration I did with Murph was a limited edition print of him, comic book style, just sending a ball over the fence. And because I've always grown up, I grew up loving two things. When I was 10 years old, it was all about baseball and it was all about comic books. And I've spent the rest of my life, it feels like, trying to cram these things together. So I've always been kind of flirting with that style, and there's a couple other drawings that I've done over there. Nothing that I really pursued as a direction. It was just like, here's a little fun thing I did, and moving on. But with the He-Man and with the comic books, there's that whole like nerd culture and jock culture that I feel like should mix and needs to mix. And who were the boys? Who were the boys that were at the height of the baseball card boom, junk wax era? Was these 10-year-old boys, and it was like, right, you've got Batman the movie coming out, and it was all, and comic books was very much a part of my growing up and the growing up of everyone around me. So I kind of assumed that that's how everyone grew up to some extent. And it just I've been trying to cram these two worlds together, because it feels like, even though it doesn't make sense on paper, like what comic books and baseball have to do with each other, but it's just one of those things. They're just good friends with each other. They mix, and it makes sense really well.
No, I 100% agree with you there, because my local card shop was a comic book store that had cards, and so you had
exactly.
We went as kids, so there was like 4 or 5 of us would go. Half of us would go in the comic books, half of us would get cards. We'd spend hours there, flipping through everything. So yeah, I absolutely see that the mashup there, because I think that's what most people were, because cards were back in the far corner back there, and the comic books were front and center. And you went we went every week, I'm sure, if not twice a week. But it was always like, okay, this day's release day, so all the comics would go in, so we'd always be there. So I absolutely see where you're coming from here.
Yeah.
John's never had the experience of going to a comic book store / baseball card shop.
No, I haven't really even been to many comic book stores. There were very few of them around when I was growing up. There were proper dedicated comic book stores. Comic books are just available in newsagents around here and stuff like that. We don't have that culture, I don't think, as much. Probably more so nowadays, but less so when I was growing up.
So is there any comic books that inspired you?
Not anything in particular. I think it's just the essence of being around it, the fantastical superhero nature of it. Again, talking about good friends, the villains, the super villains, and the superheroes are very much how you might see a baseball player as a kid. John, we were talking about that earlier. These larger than life characters, and they were superheroes, and there were bad guys. There were the Lenny Dykstras out there that are the bad guys, and and it just seems ripe for good storytelling, mixing these like fantastic worlds together, because it's a very natural like, yeah, it's a very natural like source of drama are these characters. Even going back and watching the famous 88 World Series with Kirk Gibson hitting that home run, like watching that game from start to finish is like such a dramatic opera with this amazing crescendo at the end, you know, and it's such a great, it really is an operatic storyline, and it just, again, another reason why it feels like these like go together. I know I keep not answering your question, but
it's all right. No, I know where you're going from, so it's absolutely fine. It's interesting you say that because your comic book series, you mostly have the good guys. It's not the heel. We definitely have Lenny Dykstra as the heel, but you would say that era of 80s and 90s, you definitely had a heel, and then you kind of went, okay, now we're all friends now, and they have Barry Bonds as a heel, and then we really don't have one for a long time, and then Joey Votto's kind of a heel, and then all of a sudden we have the Astros, and we definitely have a heel now. So that's got to be hard to go, okay, well, I want to do something modern because there's people that are going to be into it now. Because the same thing, like we pull these 80s and 90s players from the wax packs we open, and John's like, I have no idea who these guys are. And we're talking about some obscure story that we have this shared experience of watching some game in '84 on TV. And he's like, yeah, nope, I wasn't there for that.
Yeah, I missed, I think, the golden era. You know, before things started to get kind of home run heavy, you know, there were a lot of badass motherfuckers in the league in the 80s and 90s that I missed out on, which I regret. But as I've said, I don't know how many times now, speaking to you artists and stuff like that, like this project, one of the best things about it for me is being able to go back vicariously through you guys and hear stories about that era that I don't know about so much. So it's been great for me. And yeah, I do completely agree with Jason. Like, baseball's more fun when there's a bad guy to root against as much as there is, you know, your team to root for.
Totally.
So it's an interesting thing just now.
Yeah, even like one of the comic books I did was George Brett in the Pine Tar incident, and you know, as a kid, you know, it's a very famous incident. As a kid, I'm like, okay, well, it's George Brett getting mad at Billy Martin, but growing up and seeing the fragile dance of egos, it's actually about Billy Martin and George Brett, but also the umpire and the American League president that overturned the umpire's like original like ruling. And so like this battle of egos, you know, and then Billy Martin stalling on doing that pickup makeup game, finishing the rest of the game to see where he would land in the standings. It's just such a dramatic, like wonderful, literally story. And kind of by accident, I keep calling these characters, you know, they're real people. But as I talk about this project, I just very much instinctively just call them characters, because that's very much like, you know, how it makes sense and how it kind of plays out.
Well, yeah, I mean, the memories that we have of these guys are versions of the people that were actually there. So they are kind of characters. To an extent, I think these guys are fictional characters. That's what makes them larger than life and what makes them a Saturday morning cartoon to watch growing up. You guys, I want to touch on something you mentioned there from the George Brett thing. It's pretty much unrelated, but I don't know the answer to this, and I'm hoping one of you guys can. You mentioned the American League president overturning the ruling of the umpire in that game. Does the commissioner in modern baseball have the same power?
Yes. So what it was, it used to be a commissioner. There used to be 2 league presidents. So anything that happened in your league, you'd go to the league president and he would make that decision. And
then so does the commissioner have that power now, or is that not something that's in his? Is that just something that's gone now? No,
the commissioner has that decision there. So, or there might be somebody underneath him that will make that decision now. But yeah, so you should just go to the league president, and league president would make that decision for everybody.
So who were the last league presidents?
I want to say Andy McPhill. That's the name that sticks in there.
He's the one on the George Brett cover.
Yeah, that's what I said. And then for the National League, oh man, I couldn't tell you. Like, I want to say it's Chuck Freely, but that might be the one before him. And then the last one I can remember is A. Bartlett Giamatti, but he was commissioner, so there would have been something back there. But I think it was like 84 is when they decided to go to a commissioner, or maybe not. I can't remember how it all worked.
The best name for a president in the league history has to be Ban Johnson. I've heard of Ban Johnson. What a name that is.
So, John, the one thing you probably don't know is he's got a Reggie Jackson Kills the Queen comic book there.
That's true.
Amazing. Does he succeed this time, or does he get thwarted by Leslie Nielsen again?
So I thought you'd appreciate that after. So we had Mark Donaldson for ESPN, and he kind of does a series for the British folks out here. So it's kind of the baseball tonight that's there. And when the Yankees were over for the London series last year, he went up to Reggie Jackson and was like, so Reggie, did you get in the country all right? He's like, yeah. It's like, no problems getting through customs. And it's like, yeah, I got my passport. Everything went through, no problem. Just kind of going, where's this going? I said, well, last time you came to the country, or last time you were in, the same country as the Queen, you tried to kill her, and then went off this long story about how it was filming and all that. And so when I saw that, I was like, John will appreciate the story that you actually do a comic book like that. So
love Reggie, and I love Naked Gun. So yeah.
So what are you doing for your fundraiser here? So we'll get into that here because we're going to run out of time, and I got a feeling you're going to want to open a pack of cards.
Oh, I would love to. So for the fundraiser, there's the various obvious, at least for me, obvious direction. I'll do a comic book cover of Negro League Hero, but I want to do something different, something special, and so I thought about it a lot, and I want to do something that felt right to me. I felt that it needed to be authentic, authentic to me, and authentic in how I create the art. And so instead of the comic book style, I wanted it to be like a tactile thing. Actually, let me go back and say what I'm doing, and then I'll talk about it.
Perfect.
I'm doing a 16 different print set. I call it just a mini art gallery. If we can't enjoy the art gallery together, going to the museum, well then here's the art gallery for you. Here's 16 different 7-inch prints that you can hang up in any Tetris-like formation on your wall. And so that's what I have done, and it's still very tactile feeling. It's kind of got a aged look to it. It's got a imperfect, misaligned printed feel to it, but I did my best to represent as authentically as I could, because to be very honest with you, I don't know a lot about the Negro Leagues going into this, and so even how I depicted the players, it didn't feel like I had earned the right to use their common nicknames like Cool Papa Bell or Satchel, or anything like that. I felt I hadn't earned that because of how little I knew. So I approached this as just an attempt to educate myself into this, and what I've done, again, trying to be as authentic as possible, just my exploration of educating myself on these players. And that's there's also the desire to, I want to do the players that no one's ever heard of, the obscure ones that never get drawn. But that also felt inauthentic too, because I didn't know enough to take that deep dive. I hadn't earned it as an artist. So I stuck with very famous characters that the first ones that you would read about when learning about the history, and I used their proper names just out of respect as to where I'm at, and as respect to those players. So that's what I'm offering up for this week.
Amazing.
Excellent. Folks, go to NLBMArt.com to check out all of the designs, including Daniel's. Tad has reached out on Twitter and has pointed out something that I didn't know, but which is very impressive, and that's that you created the Curveball Keepsakes logo.
I did. That's
a tremendous. It's an absolutely tremendous logo. So I was very impressed when I just read that.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
That's awesome. He's on right after here. I wished it would be a 4-person interview.
Well, we got our times mixed up. He thought he was supposed to be on before you, so we're gonna figure out. I'm waiting for him to get back to me. So Tad, if you're watching, get back to me because you're supposed to be on in 10 minutes. Well, cool. Well, do you want to promote your social media and your website before we get into that?
Sure. Well, I do have a website, DanielJacobHorine.com, but it's not something that there's a lot of activity on. Most of the activity happens on social media. I do what I call Pop Flies. It's a weekly comic book. It's usually a weekly comic book style release. I do like every single week, and it's very much inspired by the Topps 2020 model. It's available for 1 week, and then it retires. And however many purchase it during that week, that's how large the print run is. And once it's gone, it's gone. So I do that every week, mostly from Twitter and Instagram. My Instagram handle is Daniel Jacob the Maker, or at Daniel Jacob the Maker, and my Twitter handle is Danny_champion.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks so much, and let's open some cards.
All right.
So I've got 7 packs of cards. You get to choose one, and we'll talk about the players in there if we recognize anybody.
All right.
We opened 2 packs of cards just before you, and there was nobody there. I think our best card was a Sparky Anderson. So hopefully we
I caught the last part of that interview, that poor showing. I did get to go on the Two Strike Noise podcast, and I did break the top 10 of their Wax Packs Heroes. So I'm pretty excited about that.
They're good friends of ours. We did the Bump Bailey Wax Pack Tournament of Awesomeness, and we placed second in that one. So
we also have we have the number 1 best card in the history of that particular tournament.
Yes.
Also, congratulations.
So what'd you pull then? What'd you get up from them?
Oh gosh, I think the best thing we got was Andre Dawson, but it was an all-star, so it wasn't worth a ton. So, but I think I got like 48 cents, I believe, on that, or around there.
That's not bad. That must have been a lot of mustaches.
There was a Corey Snyder in there.
So it's interesting you mentioned that. Stuart Anstead is he lives in Utah. He works for the Orem Owls, and Corey Snyder is like a part owner and is heavily involved with them. So he's actually got a picture of him with Corey Snyder, and I'm like, I gotta find a Corey Snyder card to send him because I gotta get a Corey Snyder autograph, particularly from 87 Tops, because that the rookie card on there.
Yep.
All right, so here's where you get choices from. You've got 87 Tops, 89 Donners, 1990 Score, 91 Studio, 92 Donners, 92 Pinnacle, and 93 Studio.
Nice. Well, I ship cards with every order that I do, and just for fun, I opened 1 pack of 90 Score, and it had like, I think right in order, like Andre Dawson, Kirby Puckett, and George Brett with another Hall of Famer stuck in there. So I'm feeling pretty hot right now with the 90 Score. So let's go there.
Perfect, because that's got the Frank Thomas rookie, and it's got that Bo Jackson with the football pads in the back there.
Dude, if we get that, I'm gonna retire.
Exactly. So, if we get anything good and you want it, we'll definitely mail it to you. So Herm, the guy that goes to the Mets game and draws there, he pulled the King Fu Jr. rookie. So
whoa.
Yes, that's been the best card, and it was Peter Chen from Jumbotron Art had just pulled the McGuire 87 Tops before that. So that was the best card. And then I watched
that one.
Yeah, and then we pulled the Jeff Bagwell rookie from the Stadium Club. So it was a good day for Wax Pack.
All right. I don't want to let these guys down. All right.
So it's not too good start. We got Matt Noakes from the Tigers.
Oh, next.
Yeah, exactly. This is a classic guy, and he's got the glasses on. Chris Sabo.
Nice.
Yes. So John, I don't know if you can see it there. He wore this thing called the Rec Specs, and they were wrap around prescription glasses. And I had a pair of those, so I could play baseball in those.
Yes.
I'm blind as hell.
Yeah. And Chris Sabo, he was a bat corker, wasn't he, back in the day?
I think so. I think he was. So, all right. So we've got, what was it? Lou Whitaker. Lou got into the hall, right? They voted him in the Veterans Committee, didn't they?
I don't
I'm
recall.
trying to think if they got him in there. They're still trying to. Alan Trammell got in, but I can't remember if they were still written for Lou Whitaker or not. I'll have to look that one up. But we did get a Bo Jackson.
Dude.
Awesome.
So we got a Bo.
Nice.
You're on the
Mic
hot
drop.
streak there.
Yeah. Yep.
Not only that, we got a Andre Dawson. So we're on to a pretty good pack here. So another good guy, not a Hall of Famer, Vince Coleman.
Dude. He's in the 30-30 club, right?
He was. No, I don't think he ever hit 30 home runs, but he did steal 110, 107, and 109 stolen bases in that 3-year period.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
So got another one of your guys. One of your guys you've actually done one of your artworks for, Will Clark.
Dude.
So we got a pretty good pack here. So 89 highlight, the thrill, and it's all about his playoff run there and one NLC MVP. So we're off to a pretty damn good start here.
Yeah.
Halfway through. All right. Well, unfortunately, this guy is Kevin Hickey. Yeah. He's a journey. It even says journeyman relief pitcher. So it doesn't say much about that. Let's see. I remember this guy, Jack Howell, who's a longtime third baseman for the Angels.
Yeah.
A self-made baseball player. That's what it says there. So.
Well, who else makes you a baseball player?
What the hell does that mean?
I don't know.
Did somebody else show up for practices for everyone else?
There you go. We got a Yankee for you, John. Rags. Dave Brighetti.
Nice. Yeah, I remember
Yep.
The what is that called? The starting lineup talking baseball game.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
he was in there. He was
Okay. No one great here. Marvell Wind. Yep. Let me get rid of him.
Next.
This guy was a legend of the Bay for his time there. Kevin Mitchell. So we got Will the Thrill and Kevin Mitchell.
Kevin Mitchell was one day going to be on one of my pop flies. I really wanted to depict his his famous catch.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I forgot the 89. He hit 47 home runs and drove in 125. So,
he was a monster in the beginning. I think he started with the Mets in 87-ish, 86, 87-ish.
Yeah, it was 86 when he hit a full timer with the Mets.
Wow. Yeah, he was a monster for a hot minute.
No, don't tell me he's gonna go out on us now. All right, yep, we're back. So sorry about that. That's the Wi-Fi. All right, got another Yankee, Dave LaPointe. He got to bounce around to like 7 different teams. Looking at the back here. Yeah,
read his name, but don't know him.
Yeah, one of the most traveled players. So that's never a good sign.
So if traveling is listed on your back of your baseball card, that means you're probably in the common bin.
Yeah. All right, we've got a 1990 rookie, Brian Dubois, with the Tigers there.
All right.
So
is he any good?
No, he was rubbish.
So he was one of these guys that was built up and then just collapsed into bits.
So I've got a soft spot for this guy. This is Todd Stottlemyre because he's a Washington guy. So I gotta always support the Washington guys there. Obviously, his dad was a pitching coach for the Yankees for a long time.
Now sadly departed, unfortunately, Mel Stottlemyre.
So, and we did get another good one, but it's not the one we wanted. But it's the Bo Jackson All-Star MVP card.
That's two different Bo Jacksons.
Yeah, 2 in the one pack.
But they're the wrong Bo Jacksons.
I know. Yeah, exactly. Daniel, it's been an absolute blast having you on. It's so much fun to chat with you. We'll have to do it again sometime soon.
Likewise, guys. It was what a treat. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thanks again for coming on, Daniel. It's been a pleasure to meet you and speak with you. And definitely we'll need to get you back on Ball Caps and Bagpipes to talk again, and we'll open some more cards.
Thank you. I love it, John. Thank you, Jason.
Brilliant, man. Have a good one, man.
All right, you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.